Hi, I'm Vanessa Feltz. Welcome to my Strictly Roundup. Going to be spilling the tea every week. Hit the subscribe button and you won't miss an ounce of it.
So, Vanessa, what do you think of Amanda Abbington's interview with the papers this Sunday?
I was pretty surprised that Amanda Abbington wanted to give yet another interview about the Giovanni Panicci, in inverted commas, scandal, because we've had the report now. We've seen that she made 17 complaints against him, only 6 of which were upheld. We've seen that she claims victory and he claims victory, and he isn't seen to have done anything perniciously sexual against her or terribly violent against her. All of those things were found not to be upheld. He's meant to have said a few things, given a few remarks that she obviously found offensive. And I can't possibly say that a woman is not offended if she says she is. She obviously was upset and offended. But come on, Amanda, isn't it time to call time on this now? I mean, obviously you were upset. Obviously your feelings were hurt. Obviously it was very difficult. But that was then and this is now. We're a whole year on. New series of Strictly, Christmas approaching fast. You know, I think the time has come to draw a line under it. There's been a careful inquiry. You know, the findings have been made public to a certain extent. You feel as if you've been vindicated to a certain extent. Whatever happened doesn't seem, to me at any rate, to have been a horrible campaign of abuse directed at you by poor old Giovanni, who it seems was trying to buoy you up and encourage you, even if you didn't like his methods. So at some point in the game, surely it's the day where you wake up and say, I put all this behind me. Everyone's kind of got the picture now, and I've said I had a horrible time and it was horrible, and now it's a new day and a new dawn and I move on and I just don't mention it again, is what I'm thinking. Not to invalidate what you've been through, but to put what you've been through behind you, you know, draw a line and move on, because otherwise you're kind of reliving all the agony, all the misery, all the suffering in a kind of constant stream of misery. It'd be lovely to just give yourself a break, brackets, and everyone else a break too.
Vanessa, she talked a bit about the way that her partner would talk to her while they were rehearsing. You've been through the Strictly process. What was James Jordan? What would he tell you when you were rehearsing together?
James Jordan, I think, had to use every possible method in the book to get me to try to do the things that he was trying to make me do, because I never danced in my life. I read English at Cambridge. I knew nothing about dancing. I had no talent whatsoever, but I had enthusiasm and I am a hard worker. So I was trying my very, very best to do what he told me to do. He said all kinds of things. I mean, I think he'd make jokes. He'd slightly take the razz out of me. He'd encourage me. He was incredibly supportive. I think he made the odd sort of sexual remark too, talking about, you know, how he might be thoroughly gratified sexually if I could just get the cha-cha-cha right. And I took it in the spirit that it was intended, which was basically for a good laugh, to kind of lighten up the atmosphere. So you didn't feel like, oh, I can't do this. I'm never going to do this. And 14 million people are going to laugh at me and I'm so unhappy and I'm so worried. Because after all, it's meant to be dancing. It's meant to be joyful. So there was some light-hearted, permissive, X-rated banter, and I like to think I gave as good as I got, because, you know, I'm a grandma of 4. I'm not a kind of trembling young virgin, and if someone wants to talk about sex to me, I'm not going to be wildly offended. I'm pretty much going to go with the flow. So there was a little bit of sexy talk. There was a little bit of kind of jokey talk. There was a little bit of come on, Vanessa, come on, Feltz, get a grip, that kind of talk. There was lots and lots of come on, darling, it's going to be fine. I know you're going to get the hang of it talk. Then he brought his lovely wife, Ola, in to show me how it should be done. Inspirational talk. There was lots of stuff, gossip, fun, tittle tattle, bit of politics. I used to teach him a new word of the day. He used to love it and he used to use the word right back at me. There was lots going on. I reckon if I'd had a mind to be offended, maybe by some of the more X-rated stuff, I suppose I could have been offended. But I wasn't offended. Found it sort of sometimes a little shocking, but in a funny way. And I knew it was meant to be humorous. And I went with it and then I gave it right back at her. I did. So, you know, I just reckon that the dance pros have to keep the energy going, and we'll fling in any old thing to keep it going. A bit of singing, bit of salacious gossip, a bit of something just to keep you awake, alert, and on your toes, literally, and sometimes on your heels, of course. Heel toe, toe heel, or whatever it was.
Heel toe, isn't it?
Heel toe.
This week, your good friend Toya left the show. Can you give us your thoughts on her dancing and her departure?
It is a farce. It is an absolute travesty. I am horrified that the wonderful Toya has had to go home so soon. I thought she brought a lot to the dance floor. She brought absolute vavavoom. She brought true showbiz glamour. She brought lots of bounciness. She brought a heck of a lot of energy, enthusiasm, elasticity. She gave it her all, and she wasn't half bad at it either. I thought she put up an absolutely excellent fist of it. I thought she was really good. And Paul Mercer's a blinking footballer, so Toya was kind of powerless, wasn't she, in the face of his popularity? And I think it's a damn shame. And I feel that justice has not been served. And I think Toya should still be there. She was an absolute inspiration to women of a certain age. I thought she did an absolutely bang-up job. And I loved it when her husband, Robert Fripp of King Crimson, rose to his feet to say to the judges, no, do not defame the dancing abilities of my beloved wife. Craig Revel Horwood said, sit down, that man. He didn't seem to realise that was the legendary Robert Fripp of King Crimson. If he'd known, he wouldn't have dared to tell him to sit down. But I like the way he rose, offended, affronted on behalf of his beloved wife. It was absolutely marvellous. That was love incarnate. I like Toya. I like Robert. She was great. She was an asset to the show. I hated that the older women always go home first. It's not fair. She didn't deserve to go. She should still be there. Paul Merson should be sitting at home knitting a jumper.
Nick Knowles missed out this week because he wasn't well. Do you think Nick and Paul might end up being the bottom two next week, or do you think Paul's another week of practicing? He might kind of start to master dancing a bit?
I just wonder what affliction is going to assail Nick Knowles this week. I mean, what did he have? He changed a tyre and did his arm in. Then he was dancing, he did his knee in. I don't know what's going to... He's going to lose a tooth this week. Is something else going to happen? Maybe he's going to fall down a well. I hope not. Of course, I only wish him the best of possible health. Do I think that Nick Knowles is a great asset to the dance floor? I think not. I think maybe not dancing is probably a fine thing for Nick Knowles. Do I think that if it's Nick Knowles versus Paul Merson in the dance-off, it'll be Nick going home so he can lie on a chaise longue and recover his health? Yeah. Sometimes in Strictly, there's a breakout moment. There's a moment that transcends mere viewers of Strictly and just makes it into the stratosphere. And that is what happened when Dr. Punam burst forth with that incredible Bollywood routine this week. I mean, it was just kind of eye-popping, jaw-dropping, full of life, full of kind of vitality and full of authenticity in this wonderful way. And you could hear almost everybody all around the country sending it to their grandma, sending it to their cousin, sending it round the bed. Have you seen this? Did you see this? Look at this. Look at this Bollywood number, the very first one ever to be executed on the Strictly floor. It was just a fantastic moment. It was wonderful. I was watching with my little grandson. He's 5, and he just jumped up and started springing about the floor. Couldn't even sit still to watch it because he was loving it so much. So Dr. Punam, to me, was a bit of a wild card at the beginning. I hadn't actually seen her on television. I wasn't sure who she was. But I reckon that after that amazing routine, that wonderful Bollywood routine where you could see that she was dancing from the heart and with her soul, that she might well have developed a brand new following, and it might be all she needs to take her right through. And it is certainly true that people of colour tend to come out of Strictly far sooner than they ought, and that's been going on for years and years. And when I was in the show, people were saying it. People have always said it, and you've seen it happen that dancers with talent who are of different ethnicities tend to be thrown out far too soon. But Dr. Punam, maybe she's going to be someone who escapes that, and I hope she is.
Last week we talked about Pete Wicks. He's been lighting up the papers this week with rumours that he might be copping off with his partner.
I did talk about Pete Wicks last week. I did say he's sex on legs. I did say they're little legs, but exquisitely proportioned and beautifully put together. The rumour is, and I don't think anyone's all that surprised. And remember, I'm a veteran of Celebs Go Dating, so I do know a little bit about the behind-the-scenes goss on that show. And, the rumour is that Pete Wicks is absolutely irresistible. He is catnip to women. Any woman, any age, any size, any proclivities, you get near Pete Wicks and you're just putty in his hands. In fact, you wish he would use you as putty. And I can speak of this personally because I happened to meet Pete Wicks for the first time. I don't want to name drop. Well, I do really. At Buckingham Palace. And, I had this elegant cucumber sandwich. And he approached me, and I just saw him, and I mean, our eyes met, and I'm telling you, I'm not exaggerating, there was a conflagration of instant desire. And I just wished that he would use me as instant putty in his capable hands. I mean, immediately. So if it's true that Yowita Pritzal has succumbed to his charms, I wouldn't be at all surprised, but I would be jealous.
Finally, Vanessa, as we wrap this up, there was an unwelcome vista on the show on Sunday night.
It was absolutely extraordinary. I kept yelling it to my family members. I'm like, my God, did you see that pair of somewhat well-upholstered legs just behind Shirley? Did you see? There are some quite, I would say ample and generous legs. Just the legs, not the head, not the feet. You couldn't see the body, you couldn't see the bosoms, just the legs. Just behind Motzi, and you kept on seeing them, these kind of ghostly, dismembered limbs, just kind of solidly taking up space between the judges. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was an optical illusion. I don't know if it was a premature homage to Halloween. I don't know what the hell was going on, but it looked like something from the Chamber of Horrors, just behind Shirley. And I just tell you one thing, it's never too early for a dismembered body part from Shirley. That's my Strictly Roundup for this week. Do subscribe, push the button so you don't miss out next week.